Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Alright, this is... We have chairs, cushions, chairs.
Do you want a microphone?
I have it. I forgot.
Yeah.
Did you want some warm water?
Yeah. Krishna Govinda.
Parašykit Ieva, nežinau kur eiti, ieškoda kažkas.
Rama Rama Hare Hare Radha Radha Madhava Radha Oh Radha Oh Radha You're playing Mridanga? Who's?
He will play. It's a little bit like bucket.
Boom.
Yes, it was okay, but we just took it outside and
Oh, okay.
in the morning it was good.
Dum, dum, dum. Okay, for some variety, we have a new melody. Radhamadhava Kunja Bihari Radhamadhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radhamadhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radhamadhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jayo Girivara Dhari Yasoda Nandana Jai Braja Janaranjana Jai Yasoda Nandana Yashoda Jaya Braja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Jaya Raja Janaranjana Yasoda Nandana Yashoda Jaya Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Gauranga Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Jiv Jago Gaura Chandra Bole Jiv Jago Gaura Chandra Bole Wake up, sleeping souls. Lord Gauranga is calling. Follow. Wake up, sleeping souls. Lord Gauranga is calling. How long will you be sleeping on the lap of the witch called Maya? How long will you be sleeping on the lap of the witch called Maya? So wake up, sleeping souls. Lord Gauranga is calling. Wake up, sleeping souls. Lord Gauranga is calling. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Wake up, sleeping souls. Lord Gauranga is calling. How long will you remain sleeping on the lap of the witch called Maya. Bhaktivinoda Thakur. I think they went out on Sankirtan in the morning and sang this song to wake everybody up. Should we try it tomorrow? 5:30? Jai Go Premanandi Hari Hari Baba. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvise Shishanyavadi Paschatya. Should we read the verse from the... You have an idea for class, or should we read the verse they're on, or what?
You read the verse?
You know it? Does anybody know it? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. 9th canto?
It's not announced.
Oh, it's not announced. If you call Janava, they gave her the verse, so it would be the verse before that.
Oh, right. Okay.
But the phone may not work over there.
I know the verse for her.
Okay.
So it will be Srimad Bhagavatam 9.1928. 9.1928.
Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 9:19:28. Hare Krishna. Mukham karoti vachalam pangulangayate girim yakrapatamaham vande siguru dinatarinam. By the mercy of the Guru, a dumb man can speak poetry, a lame man can cross mountains, a blind man can see stars in the sky. What did she say? 9:19:48?
28.
Whoa. 9:19 what?
28.
28.
No, 27, 28.
Okay. So it's two verses.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just chant it.
Okay.
You can listen. Get purified by hearing. Maybe you'll understand something. Sasani vasam suridam prapayam nivagachatam vigyayeshvara tantranam maya virachitram prabho sarvatra sangam utsrijya. You know what that means. Gave up all association. Swapno pamyena bhargavi Krishne mana samavesha yaduno lingam atmanaha. Translation. Thereafter, Devayani, the daughter of Sukracharya, understood that the materialistic association of husband, friends, and relatives is like the association in a hotel full of tourists. The relationships of society, friendship, and love are created by Maya, by the Maya of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, exactly as in a dream. By the grace of Krishna, Devayanti gave up her imaginary position in the material world, completely fixing her mind upon Krishna. She achieved liberation from the gross and subtle bodies. So, purport. One should be convinced that he is a spirit soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Brahman Krishna, but has somehow or other been entrapped by the material coverings of the gross and subtle bodies, consisting of earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. One should know that the association of society, friendship, love, nationalism, religion, and so on are nothing but creations of Maya. One's only business is to become Krishna conscious and render service unto Krishna as extensively as possible for a living being. In this way, one is liberated from material bondage by the grace of Krishna. Devayani attained this state through the instructions of her husband. Hare Krishna. The purpose of the Acharya is to cut through the forest of Maya. Or, as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said, to do an operation and take out the disease in the heart. And so sometimes the words must be to the point and must be strong. And there's a problem. And I think maybe you know the problem is that these things can be misunderstood. So, if you read this and just take it at face value, it sounds like, well, you should all just like throw in the towel on your life and just move in the temple and do service at least 19 hours a day. Of course, most of you have done that already. And so, the point to understand is, when Prabhupada says these things, of course he's commenting on the story, but he's setting a standard. Like, this is where we're trying to go. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, maybe not for 30 years or 40 years or whatever. But it's setting the standard because you need to know where to go. And if the standard is lower, you just shoot lower. I had an interesting experience. There's a place near where I live where the earth has just opened up. They call it sinkholes. And it's just a big... You ever been there? Devil's Millhopper? It's in Gainesville. And you have those where the earth just opens up? Yeah. So it's 130 steps down. And so I go there as often as I can, and I walk down the steps. Going down's easy. Then I walk up the steps, and then I usually walk around. It's a 10-minute, then I go back down, maybe walk twice up and down, and then go around, and maybe walk twice up and down. And if you're not in good shape, it's, when you get to like the 128th step, you want to give up. And I noticed something interesting. Whenever I get near the last 10 steps, I get tired. I go, oh, it's the end. I'm almost there. And if there were 10 more steps, I would not get tired into the 10 more. And I just read an article yesterday that when you're ready to give up out of exhaustion, it's not your body that's exhausted, it's your mind. So if someone offered you $1,000, 1,000 euros, you just walk up 10 more stairs, you go, okay. But when you're down, you say, I can't do anymore. I'm finished. So, these are, a better story. I think before I had the surgery, it was really hard to walk up. And so what I had to do was, I only could look at the next step. I couldn't look. I could look up there and I go, my God, it's too much. But if I looked at the next step and I didn't look up, I was okay. Just, So sometimes we look at the goal and say, oh my God, why even take the next step? It's too high. But it has to be there that the goal is ultimately to go back to Godhead and become detached. But you can't become detached before you become detached. And a lot of people worry about detachment. Like, I have to become detached. And I always say, but it's impossible to become more detached than you are. You can't fake it, you can't force it. I mean, you can, sometimes we have principles we have to follow, but in terms of just general renunciation and detachment, that only comes as a product of your taste in Krishna consciousness and your advancement. It just happens naturally. You lose interest. You can't force yourself to lose interest. I mean, you can intellectually, okay, I should lose interest, but it only happens when you become advanced. So you don't have to worry. You want to hear something funny? I don't know if you ever experienced this, but in our movement in the early days, when sannyasis would give classes, if they said this would be like a light class. Their classes were like, just remain brahmachari, grihastha life is real entanglement, etc., etc. And it was pretty heavy. It wasn't like light. It wasn't light and polite. It was just straight and heavy. And all the women are thinking, oh my God, I'm never going to find a husband because none of these men are going to get married. Of course, we know that they all got married. So But, in a sense, that's their duty to preach that way, Like Devaki was preaching about Vanaprastha life. And when I was in Dallas, 20 years ago, everyone in the temple was in their 50s when, their kids were grown up, so that's when you start thinking about Vanaprastha. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj gave class, and most of the devotees were his disciples. The whole class was on Vanaprastha. And the end of the class, he said, I don't even know why I gave this class, because none of you are going to do this. It's like you can't do it before you do it. But at least you have to know what you're supposed to do. So you can, general direction, I have to go that way, right? At least, So like sometimes we go to Vrindavan, we go to Mayapur, that's pretty much that's a big renunciation, isn't it? For a couple of weeks or whatever. If you don't visit the pizza bar, it's renunciation, yeah. So we know we should do these things, especially if we were brahmacharini. We've done the austerity. And now, the Shastra, the Guru, the sadhus, they're reminding us, okay, you have other things to do in life, and you need to do these things, because if you don't do them, you can't go back to that goal. Because if you try to renounce it, then when you're older, you're not satisfied if you're not renounced. So you can't renounce because it's like we have a joke. We do Vanaprastha backwards. Brahmachari, sannyas, grihastha. So we've seen that. Right? Yeah, that's the joke, right? Yeah. So that's an example. So if you want, I think this, she said the story was Yayati. Oh yeah, it is. If you want to renounce, that's fine if you are renounced, but you can't do it if you're not. And a lot of people try to, and it doesn't work. So, the problem? Well, you don't have this problem because you're a little older, but the problem is when you're younger, you don't know how renounced you are or not. You don't have an idea of what it's going to be like to be a devotee for 50 years. You've just been a devotee for a year, and you're like, yeah. Renunciation. I'll do this 12 hours on the street distributing books for the rest of my life. That's all I want to do. I have a song. I'm a brahmachari. I chant the name of Hari. I wear my kopans tight. I don't eat late at night. I'm brahmachari. I go out on books day and night. Pretty women I give no sight. I would for breakfast. I'm like that. I eat, a handful of rice for breakfast. That's nice. And then came, and then one day the temple walked in Bhakti right, and that night my dhoti turned white. Now the song was, I'm a brahmachari, chant the name of Hari. Chant the name of Hari, yeah. And then my dhoti turned white, and then came Bhakti right, now my dhoti turned right. Now I'm Das Adhikari, no time to chant Sri Hari. Because I'm working like an ass to get some blades of grass, Das Adhikari. And now you're doing that and you're like, oh, did I make a mistake? This is difficult. And then at some point in your life you realize, I have to do this because I can't do the other. There's the goal, it's right there, but I can't do it, so I have to do this. And all the trouble that comes with doing this is all purifying, because I'll tell you, I was with my godbrother in the temple, and in Lacha there's so many young grihasthas with kids, and I was with my godbrother, he's my age, and he's looking at the kids and he's like, I'm glad I'm over that. It's like 25 years raising kids, you spend all your money that send them to university, and they so many traumas in their life, and you deal with it all, and then they get in accidents, broken bones, it's just. And he was looking at the kids. He goes, "I'm glad it's over." But while you're doing it, you're like, it's like you don't feel that way while you're doing it, but But at a certain point, it's like, when are you moving out? When can I get my life back? And so, it's true. It's true. Like the first day your kids go to school, you'll be like, I had like 3 hours to myself. When my daughter was young, I was traveling and I was staying at the home of a friend, and I walked in the home and like, they don't have kids, and I walked in the home and it's like, oh my God, nothing's out of place here. Everything's organized. Because you have kids, it's like, you can't organize it. So, you go through that, and you don't regret it, but you look back and you think, yeah, whew, glad it's over. I worked for like 30 years making money. It was like 35, 40. A lot of anxiety sometimes. You don't know how to, we've all been there. You're going to pay the bills, whatever, or you went to school, studied something, it wasn't easy. And, we could just have class, and you could all tell stories about your challenges of Grihastha life, But you know what I'm saying. So you go through it, and then you look at this verse and you go, okay, I understand. I have to go through so much in this world, so that when I look at this verse I can go, yeah. It doesn't like scare me or shake me up. This is so heavy, just give up everything, it's all Maya. But I know so many devotees who, when they were older, they said, like I gave everything to my kids, and they're kind of Krishna conscious or kind of not, and it's like, I have my life now. I've done everything for them, and I just, I have to put the last years of my life into Krishna consciousness, and that's the idea. So that's how we should see these verses. And another way I think we should see these things, because there's so many of these in the Shastra, because you're reading about pure devotees, and pure devotees do what pure devotees do, right? And when pure devotees do what they do, you look at it and you say, I could never do that, right? That's like off the charts for me. Like I'm not, so what do I do with that? Now, it's like, let's say Ross is teaching me how to play the keyboard, and he's like, and I'm like, it's like, I can't do, what am I supposed to do? It's like, and he says, well, just play these notes. Could you play these notes? I go, I could do that. He goes, okay. Could you play this with your left hand? Just these 2 notes. Yeah, I could do that. So it's like, you look at Shastra and it's like, Prahlad Maharaj I'm listening today, please forgive my father, it's like, I want to beat somebody up just because they moved my shoes. I put my shoes there, you move them there, you're creating trouble for me, And he's forgiving his father, so we look at that and go, like, how do I relate to that, right? And just like, could you play these 2 notes? Yeah, I could. Could you be nice to that devotee who moved your shoes? Actually, it was raining and they just brought them inside. That's what, I'm sorry. Could you be a little, like you look at this, could you be a little more like this? Could you just at least think about this a little bit? Like you understand that this is like the end game? Yeah, we could do that. Right? That's how we have to see it. Otherwise, when you read the Shastra, what are you supposed to do? Not for me. Put that one on the shelf. Is there a better story I could relate to? No, they're all meant to be related to, but you have to bring it to your level so you can relate to it. Otherwise, you're just like, I can't play like that, so, I'm selling my keyboard, Here's my japa beads, take them, So we don't want to be like that. And all the trouble that you go through in the material world, in your jobs, in your family, it's all just reinforcing that Krishna consciousness is a lot easier and a lot more blissful. And you, as you get older, you look forward to that day when I can just, just be more absorbed. Not like you're going to renounce everything, but when I just have more time. Yeah. Does that make sense? Or yeah. So, you read this verse and I'm like, our only business is to become Krishna conscious, render service unto Krishna as extensively as possible. Now that makes you feel bad because I have no time. I barely get my rounds done. What to speak if you have 3 kids? It takes time. It's cooking for them, doing the laundry, cleaning the house. Like, where's the time? Right? Where's the time to think of Krishna? If my wife doesn't cook, I don't cook. It's easier not to eat, That's like I'm late, But I can't imagine cooking, all that much. But that's what you do. Sometimes my wife's like, we have to go on a vacation, I can't cook anymore. It's just like, I'm tired of it, I'm sick of it, I just want to stop cooking. So, but it's all good, it all works. Because then when you read this, you're like, yes, let's renounce. But you can't do it when you're young. But when you go through it, then you can do it. So that's the process, and that's why. And it's good to remember this, because when you're going through it, sometimes they'll be like, why did I do this? That thought may go through your mind. Maybe not seriously, but sometimes this is hard. And then you realize you just have to think, but I need this. If I didn't need this, I wouldn't have gotten married in the first place, right? So this is what it means, and this is how you get purified. Like, I don't know if you remember, but when we did that Grihastha workshop retreat, I gave a class, and I remember the class because I thought it was good. I mean, I'm trying to be humble, but I thought it was good. Sometimes Krishna empowers you, and you say, well, I did something good, but you don't feel you're good. You're just like, thank you, Krishna. But I was saying, like, everyone has a body, and when you have a body, then there's hunger, thirst, and anger, and fear, and greed, and lust, and sexual desire, right? It's all there in the body. And I was thinking the other day, could you imagine you didn't have a body? I mean, just imagine. We all want to be Krishna conscious, isn't it? Like, I really want to be Krishna conscious. I just wish I could, Isn't it? If you didn't have a body, that's the only desire you'd have. Because you wouldn't have to deal with the mind and the hunger and the anger and all. Wouldn't that be amazing? It's just it's an encouraging thought to realize, like, I actually have a strong desire to be Krishna conscious. This body gets in the way. So now you have a body, and it just goes beep, 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 somewhere here, somewhere it goes, where there's a pain. It's beeping all the time, and it's just like, why don't you stop beeping? I just want to be Krishna conscious, isn't it? But the point is, you have to deal with the beeping. It's like, I can't stop this beeping and I can't tolerate it, so what do I do now? Right? So that lecture was saying, well, if you can't tolerate the sexual beeping, you have to get married. You can't just, have girlfriends and, every week have a different girlfriend. And but if you want to have sex, you get married, you have children. That's what you do. And what happens when you get married and have children? You have to work to support them. And you have to live with another person who's the opposite sex, and you spend 20 years trying to figure them out. After fighting with them for 20 years, and after 20 years, you're like, I can't figure them out. So I just have to accept, when they say this, although it makes no sense to me, I just have to go, okay, honey, whatever you say. And all of that is the price you have to pay to have sex. Really, basically, that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
And then after you do that, you go like, better be celibate, Like, could we just be celibate, keep it simple? But that's, but if you want to just get married, divorce, you're not going to get purified. So that's the purification. And you're like, I didn't know women were like this. They look good, but inside, sometimes, they're a little feisty and fiery. And I didn't realize the men, you can't talk to them because they're like, they don't like talking. And even if you talk, they don't listen anyway. And they don't have any emotions, and they just want to play sports and fix things. And it's like, we just did just ladies, just so you don't kill your husbands. We did a workshop for teenagers, and we went around. My daughter said, "So, what are you looking forward to today?" And all the girls were like, the Rath Yatra was the next day. The girls only had two answers. I'm looking forward to Rath Yatra. I'm looking forward to this workshop. We went to the boys. What are you looking forward to? Well, I'm playing soccer today. Later, I'm going home to play video games with my friends. We're going on this vacation. It was all physical, like nothing internal. So, what to do, That's what they do. And women, they like to talk. That's what they do. And they like things nice, and they like to look nice, and it's just, and they feel, and every 20 minutes there's a different feeling. And yesterday you said something and she really liked it, and today you said the same thing and she yelled at you. And it's like, you're like, okay. And that's all part of the price of having sex. Otherwise, just be a billionaire and have a different girlfriend every day. But, you're not going to get out of the material world doing that. And so it's like, you're older, you're like 50, and like, yeah, celibacy is really good. I'll go for that. But you couldn't say that when you're 25 because the beeping was too much beeping. So you have to go through it. And, and like, when I was young and crazy and stupid, I wrote Prabhupada and said, can I take sannyas? I was 24. And Prabhupada said, become an ideal Grihastha first, just do that. Like, hello, what planet are you from? Just be a good Grihastha. I was just stupid. Well, there's a long story. I could give a whole class on this because there's a reason that I wanted to do it. And, let me just say it, because this is so cool. This is so good to understand. Have you ever had this experience? Like you read Shastra and it's like it just clicks in your mind. You're like, yes! And then, beep, 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 beep. The beep is like taking you the complete opposite direction. You ever had that one? Yeah. I love to do this. I love to do this. Yes. And then, beep, 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 beep. So, I had this experience that when I understood something with my head, I was like, yes! This is it, do it. But I forgot that I had a body. And you have to take care of the body. And I forgot that I had needs. And so there's this like pulling. You ever feel that way? It's like pulling, Prabhu. I just read this book on Jayananda. He's so humble. I just want to be humble. It's so attractive. Prabhu, do you like it when devotees glorify you? I love it. You know what I'm saying? There's like these two polars. Like we're conditioned souls, but our minds understand the goal. So we're always torn apart between what we understand and what the reality. And that's why you get married, because you're brahmachari. Yes, brahmachari forever. Right? Isn't it? Books forever. Women. Don't talk to them and look at them. They're just Maya personified. Yeah. Most men have gone through that. But they were in denial of the beeping because it was going beep, 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 and they kept turning the switch off and it would go back on, beep, 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 turn it off, go back. I need another brahmachari class to turn this. There's like all the time it's beeping, turning it off, beeping, isn't it? And I'm renounced because I can turn the beeping off. Yeah, if you were renounced, it wouldn't be beeping, or it'd be beeping like really low, like beep, 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 like every year, one for 10 seconds or something. So
if you have this material desire, so we have to satisfy them, just get rid of them later.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good point. So you have the material desire. So here's the challenge. You have to be able to fulfill them in a way that doesn't take you away from Krishna consciousness. So it's like a really fine line. Like Prabhupada says on the Royal Road. They call the highways in India the Royal Road. Like the motorway. So he said even the Indian roads back when Prabhupada wrote this were pretty bad. Potholes everywhere and narrow. Then they built, some bigger highways, and Prabhupada said, well, even on the highways there's accidents. So it's really a fine line, because, it's like Sridhar Kirti gave the example, Prabhupada said salt. A little salt. Now I'm satisfied to have a little salt. Put too much salt in it, ruins it. So there's got to be enough restriction that you don't go over to the left side, and there's got to be enough satisfaction that you don't go crazy. So it's a balance, and so there's an area in the middle, and that's where it's good. Even in my marriage, because I have this side of renunciation, I can do that. I like it, but you can't live in marriage if you're completely renounced. Until your kids are gone and like that, and your wife wants to do it. So, but she gives me that space so I can do that, so I can satisfy that need, satisfy the other needs, satisfy them. So, if you just satisfy the need at the cost of your Krishna consciousness, what's the point? It's not the purpose. So, the principle is do what's favorable for bhakti. Don't do anything that's going to take you away from Krishna. And sometimes, as you know, sometimes you need some sense gratification, but once you get it, it's just like, okay, everything's good. Now I can be Krishna conscious. Too much, what happens? What does the Shastra say? I think psychologists must say this also, and we all have experience of this. When you do something, the desire to do that again, if you enjoy it, increases, right? If you do something and it's just hell, your desire to do that again, it's like decreases. That's how renunciation works. You have bad experience, you're like, never again. You have good experience. Oh, let's go back next week and do that, right? So the Shastra says, when you do something, it drops a seed of desire to do it again. So if you do it too much, too often, the desire can get so strong that it interrupts your bhakti. So you have to do it a little bit so it doesn't interrupt your bhakti. So it's a balance, it's a juggling act. But if you do it well, then when you're older, you'll see, oh yeah, that was good. And your relationship with your wife changes when you're older. It's really interesting. I was once somewhere and there was a festival. And there was a parade, those parades. And all these 17-year-old, 16, 15-year-old girls in mini skirts and doing whatever they do. I don't know. You have that here? Marching bands and like that. And I was looking at them and I was saying, compared to older women, like in their 40s and 50s, practically every one of those young girls, you could say, was beautiful, in their own way. Even though they weren't, they were, because they're younger. And so why did Krishna make us attractive when we're young and less attractive when we're old? Because when you're young, it's the time to have kids, right? And if you're ugly and your wife's ugly, you won't have kids. Just being honest, right? And when you get older, it's the time not to have kids. So what happens to your body? It's not so attractive, The men get the big stomach, the wrinkles start coming, the hair falls out. But at that point, you've been together with your wife for so long, so it's not about that anymore. It's about the relationship. That's not important, or it's less important. And physically, the desire diminishes as you get older. So you have two advantages. The desire diminishes, and your bodies are less, quote unquote, to be blunt, sexy. So it's easier. So it's like Krishna saying, I'm going to make this easy for you. You're just, when you get older, it's just not, you're not going to have the desire as strong, and you're not, unless you have plastic surgery or something, it's just nature's way. And then what happens? Then you get even older. And then what happens? The body starts, You ever see an older person get up and go, And all the young people are like, what's that about?
I think we already started doing this.
Yeah.
At our age.
Yeah, around 30 you get your first isn't it? Yeah. So multiply that by a few times. And you know that joke when this man makes a deal with God, let me know when I'm going to die, and then he dies and he goes to God, you didn't tell me. And he said, I did, Remember that ache in your knee? You remember the gray hair, the wrinkles, you didn't notice that? I told you, I was showing you you're getting old. And then at my age, your friends start dying. So it's like, hello, you might be next. So it's like a really good time to renounce, and it's really easy because, it's like, I don't know, I'm 75. Maybe I was supposed to die before that operation. Maybe Krishna allowed me. But at that age, you don't know. Stroke, heart attack, cancer, it's like, right? So it's nature's process. If you go through it well, you let nature work through it, and the hard part is probably like the 20 to 55. That's where your passions are still. Well, it's easier when you get older. But so you do it well. And like when women have kids, it satisfies that desire so much. And if they want kids and they don't have them, it's not good. They can get weird when they're older. You've seen that? Mm-hmm. Have you seen? Yeah, they're just like, they're not happy. And they're just, yeah. So, and another thing which I think is important, in the old days it was like, okay, we say, okay, Ishvara Madhava, we have a woman for you, totally incompatible, you're going to hate her, but this is really going to help you become detached, so I think you should marry her. And believe it or not, some people arrange marriages like that. And he's like, yeah, sounds like my marriage. But seriously, they were like,
I'm not saying anything.
She already knows what you're thinking. And so, we thought, the purpose of marriage is to become detached. It's a great way to become detached. We fight every day. How's your marriage? It's fantastic. We hate one another. In a few years, the kids grow up, it's so easy just to renounce. It doesn't work like that. You know what happens in a marriage like that? You get divorced and you remarry and you try again because you're not satisfied, Yesterday we got some kitri, but I think they accidentally put salt in twice or three times. I think I couldn't eat it. So what did I do? I called up Sundarananda and said, I can't eat this. We need something else. So it's like, didn't work with this wife, let's get another one. Right? So, So you don't want to be on your deathbed thinking, damn, I should have married that other one. You don't want to be thinking like that. So if you have a good marriage, you'll think, it was good, I'm satisfied, thank you, Krishna. You allowed me to have the things I wanted in life, and now... I have a friend, Havi, and for like 10 years he's like, I don't want to... He performs, and he's like, I don't want to perform anymore. Every year I'm like, why are you performing? He's like, I can't give it up. I said, why? He said, I like people applauding for me. And I like the money, And I met a man, and every year he says, every year he tells, the people of Venezuela, I'm retiring. And I met a man from Venezuela who knew him, and he said, there's a joke in Venezuela. His name is Elon Chester, and it's like, if you're going to say something and nobody believes you're going to do it, so yeah, just like Elon Chester is going to retire. So every year, and he finally retired this year, and he moved to Mayapur, So it's like, okay, I did it. He had this desire. He knew he could make it in the music world, and he had the desire, and he did it. And did it a lot. And he loves music, and now he's doing more devotional music. He has time for it. And, he had to get it out of his blood. And one time, myself, Badahari, and my neighbor were talking. We all had music studios. And we all said that, we were all brahmacharis, we all did book distribution, and we all said, like, at a certain point in our life, it's like, we had to do this. It was just like, music technology was far beyond what it was when we joined. It was like, oh my God, you could do this, you could do that. This was only dreams in our mind. Rasa, when we were young, if you wanted to get a synthesizer, they had the synclavier, it was $20,000, and probably like not even good compared to standards today. So that's where we're at. And so then there was this whole music technology revolution that was completely out of touch for us and really advanced with the speak. So at one point we all just set up studios, and we just said, there's only so long we could go, because that desire was so strong to do music. Like, we just had to do it. And it's still there, and I've like, the last album I made forever, I said, okay, that's it, I'm not going to do it. It was like too much trouble, too much time. I said, I'm not going to do it, And then we have a piano in our house, and I sit down and I write songs. I go, I got to record this song, it's really good. Here we go again in the studio. You know what it's like, You all hear the song, you go, how long did that take you to record? Half an hour? And there's, no, 3 weeks, really. So it was funny, because it was all like, this is our nature, we could avoid it for so long, but it's at a certain point. And that's true with some devotees who do business, some devotees who do academics, they go back to school. It's just like, I'm an academic, I like, I can read a book every day. And I love statistics, and I love research, and I love to teach, so I'll just go get 4 PhDs, whatever. We have a godbrother, he's got, I think, 3 masters or 2 masters and 2 PhDs, And that was all being done in his 30s when he was raising a family. And if you meet him, it's like, yeah, that makes sense for him. And others were just like, out there in the world, spreading Krishna consciousness, somehow earning money. That was their nature. So we all have our nature. And so if you don't do it, then when you're older, it's a problem. And if you don't have a good marriage, it's not good. It's just really not good. Having a good marriage is the best way for renunciation. Right? You ever had a meal that was not cooked well, and after you eat and like, you keep eating it because it's not satisfying you, and you want to get satisfied and it doesn't work? You ever had that one? It's just like a bad marriage, You've eaten it and you're like, is there anything else to eat? So you make it good, you satisfy those needs, careful how you satisfy them, and then later in life you'll say, I'm satisfied, and now I can, Okay, I'll give my last story. It's the Halava story. So, this is what we ate for breakfast when I was brahmachari in San Francisco. Fired up temple. San Francisco devotees are fired up. You won't believe this, but this is what we did. We in order to get out on Sankirtan at 11 o'clock and have lunch at 10:30 so we could leave at 11, we had breakfast after Mangal Arati. Yeah. 8 chickpeas, a half a cup of yogurt, half an apple, half an orange we had after Mangal Arati. 10:30 we had lunch. Dal and chapati. No sabji, no rice, no sweet. All the dal and chapatis you wanted. So that was 6 days a week. Then came the Sunday feast. What do you think we did at the Sunday feast? After being starved all week. For us, halava was like, for a brahmachari in that temple, halava was better than sex. You want to have sex? No, give me halava. That's what I want. So halava was like the drug of choice because we were so deprived. And some devotees, when they would go visit their parents, the first thing they would do is cook halava because then they could eat halava every day. It was like that. It was like halava. So halava was like, it was the thing. And some Indians taught me how to make halava, and I will humbly say my halava is in the top 10 of ISKCON halavas.
Do you have the video recipe?
I can tell you how to do it.
Oh, really?
It's really good. So I had so much halava in my day that at a certain point in my life, someone said, "Do you want halava?" I said, "No." I mean, you can, I don't know if you ever noticed, but has anyone been with me when I eat halava, even if it's there? I had enough. It was like, I had enough halava for this life. I still like it. I could eat it, but it's like, it's just halava. You know? So you go through Grihastha life, you satisfy yourself, and then, later, it's just sex, this, having things. It's just halava. I've had it. I've had enough. But how could I detach from halava unless I ate it every day? Not 100 scoops, but I had to, or at least every Sunday feast, I had to eat it. Sometimes we put sweet rice on it. You ever done that? Strawberry sweet rice on halava. You should try it. Yeah. So you satisfy. And then my wife and I lived in Vrindavan for 3 years maybe. So Vrindavan's austere. We lived in a little apartment, very small. And we worked with the VIT. We took prasadam there, very simple. And then my wife said, I think we should have a kid. And when you have a kid, you need a house and you need a car and all these things. So my wife at that point had been, she'd probably been a devotee, 10 or 11 or 12 years. So when we got the house, she was kind of raised in a well-to-do family and they had a nice house. So one day I came back and the whole house was full of this like really amazing furniture. I was like, huh? Like I hadn't seen furniture. That time I'd been a devotee. So I'd been a devotee for 22 years. Furniture. What's that? I forgot about furniture. Sleep on the floor and sit on the floor and eat on the floor. It's cheaper and more simple. So I could see like her desire for this beautiful home. It was there, but she couldn't manifest it. And then she manifested it. And I said, I feel extremely uncomfortable in this house right now because it's just like, it's too nice. But everyone who came over was like, ooh, this is cool. They liked it, and sannyasis used to stay there and they liked it, So then I thought, okay, Krishna, you're telling me that you're going to because you married this woman, you're going to live a really comfortable life and just accept it and just, it'll be good for you. And, and then when you're older, you can go into mansions with beautiful furniture and you're like, yeah, I had it. I live like that, no problem. So that's the halava, that's how it works. So just remember halava. Don't eat too much halava. You can make it nice, but not too much. And just know, if you do it right at some point, you'll look at halava and go, yeah, you kids, you eat it. Here, take my halava. I don't need it. And you see old people, they're always giving things away, isn't it? Not even devotees. Just take it. That's the phases of life you go through naturally lead to renunciation, even for non-devotees. Right? Because you've had them, you don't need them. You're 80 years old. What do you need all these things for? Just for service. Yeah. So, did that answer your? Well, that you had a question. It was a question or a comment. Anyway, I think I addressed that. Mm-hmm.
I have 3 big questions, but maybe
Oh my
see
God.
online.
First one is 3. The next 2 are 50 euros each.
I'll check my bank account. Yeah, so I'm gonna choose one. I think, how do we as devotees or just people in general, in relationship or in community, would try to cultivate this open, not judgmental place and respectful place?
Respecting the advancement of other people and their level of
Yeah.
detachment and so forth.
Yeah, and at the same time, we see things that is not good,
Yeah.
but we want to be respectful, but
Yeah.
we want to be ourselves, and we
Yeah.
don't want to be like narrow-minded, or some person would feel that, oh, now I cannot open here because
Yeah.
they are kinda
Judgmental.
judgmental, or just if some devotee does something, I said it with my open heart, and other devotee would think that I'm criticizing him.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, so how can we cultivate this culture in the family or relationships, or just, I don't know, work, whatever, so I'm open and I'm not judged, and I can say things, but at the same time I'm not doing Vaishnava Parat and things like
Oh
that.
yeah. You have to have a culture that fosters that, so nobody would misunderstand you.
Fosters? Okay.
Nurtures. And also probably have a relationship with a person so you could do that. But the culture, if everybody understands that, well, I think the first thing is we have to stop pretending to be more Krishna conscious than we are. Because if I'm pretending to be Krishna conscious and you say, Mahatma Prabhu, I was listening to you chant, I think you're only chanting like 28 syllables instead of 32. I'm like, who are you to tell me? You know, because I want to look good. You know, so immediately that defense mechanism comes. If we all acknowledge we're all trying to be Krishna conscious and none of us are perfect, and there's no benefit in pretending we're something we're not, and everybody's okay with themselves, they're self-accepting, then it's just easy. If I accept myself, I can accept you. I can tell you from my own experience that I used to be like, when I was younger devotee, I was just like, why are you doing that? You should do it this way. I wanted to control everything and everybody. And then when I became self-accepting, it totally changed. I was like, yeah, I know you're struggling. That I'm struggling also, and maybe in a different way. And so once we're self-accepting and we're all honest and we're all going through the same thing, then it's like, it's easy to talk, you know? Because probably what you would say is, you know, I'm struggling with this also, you know, maybe we can talk about it. Years ago I did a workshop on sexual purity for men. And so we were talking about the challenges we face. And everyone in the workshop said, this was so refreshing because we've never talked about this with anybody. So, you know, if you create a culture where we're all afraid to talk, you're all going to remain challenged by the things you need to talk about. And if we're going to create a culture where I have to look good, and I'm going to get criticized, I forgot to put my tilak on, Prabhu, your forehead looks like a crematorium. I cannot look at you. Bhakti Siddhanta wouldn't look at any of his disciples that didn't wear tilak, you know. If you want to create that kind of culture, that's going nowhere. And that's just going to drive people away, and it's going to be hard for us. And then we have to pretend. If I'm the one criticizing, I have to pretend that I'm perfect or something. So,
okay, so the main thing is we have to self-accept ourselves?
And stop pretending to be someone we're not, in order to get others to accept us or whatever.
Yeah, but at the same time, I could be accepting myself, and I'm limited, and I would see some fault in devotee, and I want to express it. So that's one way of.
Do you need to express it because you think that devotee is would benefit? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, other devotees. I'm not
Yeah.
talking about myself.
I think it depends on who that devotee is, because not everyone's going to appreciate it, even if you have a good intention.
What do you mean they're not gonna appreciate it?
He doesn't want your advice.
No, but if there is a group of people and I'm talking about one devotee who's giving some challenges to other devotees.
Oh yeah, okay.
And, everyone knows that, and
So how to deal with that without being critical?
yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, that's good. So this is a good question. If someone's behavior is harmful to other devotees, then at least we should be concerned for the well-being of the other devotees. And so there's two ways you can deal with it. One way is you could talk to the other devotees and say, don't worry about him, what he's saying. It's like, he's just like that, or he doesn't know, and that's his nature, or whatever. So you want to protect them in some way. You could form a sanga and say, come to our sanga. At our sanga, we don't do that. You create a space. And like, these devotees are being, in this area, I don't feel comfortable going, or I don't feel comfortable inviting people there. I'll create a space here. That's one thing I can do. And then, if you want to talk to that person and you think it's difficult, it's better to talk with all the people who have been disturbed so they can testify and say, this doesn't help me. But it has to be done sensitively, and maybe it has to be done through a leader who would talk to him. But powers in numbers. Like, I'm on a committee, and when there's a problem, we can't do anything unless there's enough people who would testify that this happened. Mm-hmm. Because it's unfair. Like you say, this devotee did that. I can bring it to the committee, but they say that's just, he'll say this and you'll say this. So we can't do anything. But 10 people say this, and they're all saying the same thing, then we have something to go with. But then you run into another problem. If you have to deal with that person and that person finds out you went to this committee, then it's a problem. So I did a little survey. I did it in Poland. And I said, do you think, or would you like in our movement to have a place, like an official website, you could just go to lodge a complaint? Would you like that? And everybody said yes, because it just avoids any friction. And it would be anonymous. And so you could lodge a complaint. It's not a complaint, it's just, this is what's happening. It's anonymous. And then people who are in a position to do something would get that message and contact you and discuss it and investigate. That's the ideal way to do it. And that's how every company does it, right? HR department. You go to the HR department, there's a problem. But you have to be more sensitive, because you could really upset that person and it could get worse. And therefore, you just, if you want to do that and you need to do that, then when you talk, if you go to someone who's going to talk to him, just say, please don't tell him who said this, because it's going to be really bad for me. So you have to be careful. And sometimes you just don't do anything because you realize there's nothing I can do and it's just going to get worse, and all I can do is focus on positive things in my life. And like we say, create my own sangas of like-minded devotees.
But but I just wonder, for example, if I lost myself.
Of course, yes. I don't know the situation, so my answers are very general.
Yeah.
You have to take that in consideration.
Okay, so my follow-up question would be, if, for example, just on a hypothetical example, so if some president or whatever who's like in some high position, is causing some harm for devotee.
Yeah.
And devotee comes to me and he's crying, oh, he did that, he did that.
Yeah.
At the same time, devotee is trying to justify the president of, yeah, but he's still good, you know, he's still that and that.
Okay.
Is it healthy thinking? Healthy?
Well, I think both are true. He's good, he's a good devotee, and he's doing things that are hurtful to some people. They're both true. It's not uncommon. And if you can help that devotee deal with it, that would be good. And maybe it's a matter of how you communicate that to the president. Maybe there's a way to do it where he would listen, and maybe there's a way to do it where he wouldn't listen. And that you have to determine, and maybe the way he listens is you speak to someone about it who he respects, who could talk to him. These things are really sensitive. They're not easy to deal with, for sure. And the more they're done in official capacities by committees that are created to do this, the better. You know, we have a committee called Leadership Abuse. And so if there's leadership abuse, you can go to that committee and say, this is what happened. And they have so many cases, you know, that's another thing. First thing I would do, personally, what I would do is I would work with the devotee, just so that devotee can get through with it, and help him understand, well, your president is saying this because of this, this, and this. And this is his background, and this is why he thinks this way. So at least you understand. It's bad for you, but it's not good or bad, it just is. And so now you have to adapt to it, and you have to adjust knowing that this is his mentality, and you have to make some decisions. Do you want to stay in this temple? Because it's going to be like this. Or maybe we try to talk to him, or you feel like, no, we can't really talk to them. Even if we did, he's not going to change. This is who he is. And so then you help that devotee and say, you know, you're not wrong in being upset. It's quite natural, but you have to decide how you want to deal with this. That's where I would start. That's the first place I start. Someone has to go pick up Janova? Bring her back? Well, that's your job? Or?
Probably.
Okay. Yeah, ask a question.
Just that we have the material desires, and there's like saying in the Shastra or somewhere that you cannot ask Krishna for your material desires.
Oh, yeah, okay.
How can we deal with this, and how can we just ask these demigods? No. Okay, it's a good question. And how and when can we
Yeah. So
can I add little to his question? Because at that moment, for us, material desires is even more important. So
yeah, well, I would say he's asking about, well, you're not supposed to pray to Krishna to fulfill your material desire. But I think you need to distinguish between a material desire and a material need. Because when I would say material desire, I would say that has nothing to do with Krishna, it's pure sense gratification. It's just, you know, I want this and I'm going to do it. Where when you recognize the beeping, okay, I have to do something about the beeping. And it's a need I have, and I have to fulfill it in a way which will not go against my Krishna consciousness. And so that you don't even have to pray to Krishna, just do it. Just fulfill that need in the Krishna conscious way. And then, sometimes you're in a situation like you just get fired and you don't know how you're going to make a living, and sometimes you're like, Krishna, help me. And so we say, well, you know, I'm praying to Krishna for money, for this or that. But really what you're praying for is like, I have a family to maintain, and if you don't have money, it's going to disrupt the family, it's going to disrupt my Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada said for Grihasthas, when they're in difficulty financially, they can pray to Krishna to help them because they have dependents, and the dependents will suffer, you know. So I thought that was interesting, you know. So, you know, I have material desires. All right, I like nice things. You know, I could buy a Toyota, but I want to buy a Lexus. All right, you know, you're not going to hell. But I will volunteer to pick up all the Maharajas at the airport because I have the nicest car in Lithuania. Right? Okay, so you try to, you know, I want to build a big house, right? And the husband's like, okay, I'll build you a big house, but every month we have to have programs here because we can fit 100 people. So that's the condition. Yeah, okay. So then you have a reason to have a big house other than the fact that you want a big house, because you do. But at least connect it with Krishna. So it's not just about you. Like, you want to eat so many things. And I'm offering this to the deities. What are you offering? I'm offering what I like to eat. That's kind of bogus, isn't it? But that's deity worship at home is offer what you like to eat. Deity worship temple is offer what Krishna likes to eat. But, I made all these things that I like to eat, but I'm thinking I'm cooking for Krishna, even though these are the things I like to eat. So and we offer to the deity, please enjoy this. And I'm sure I'll enjoy it after it's offered. Hare Krishna. Something like that, isn't it? Yeah. Hare Krishna. So, it's a balance. Does that make sense?
Yeah. There's a desire or the need.
Yeah. We all have, I have a disciple who's an actor since he was a kid. And I'm like, okay, I want to come when you get a grant, Academy Award, whatever they give. I want to come when you get it. And I want to come to the party, and I want to meet all the people in Hollywood, like Steven Spielberg will be there, and they'll all be there. I want to meet them, and I want you to help give them Krishna consciousness. I want you to make it in this industry. So if you have that vision, it's not about it's my ego. Krishna may fulfill that desire or not, but that's the way to see it. So it's my desire. And every actor has some desire to be famous. Otherwise, they'd be embarrassed being in front of a camera on stage. But you can use that. I have that desire. I was born with it. When I was 3 years old, I used to dance. And I wanted, look at me, I'm dancing. I was born like that, but now I need to use it for Krishna. So you find that desire, connect it. How could I use that for Krishna? That makes sense? Because the beeping, some things beep pretty hard. And you can't ignore it. And if you ignore it, the way you ignore the beeping is you suppress it. And you just can't hear the beeping, but it's beeping and it's still affecting you. Right? And then when you're 80 years old, you do something crazy that you should have done when you were 30. Right? Yes? Can happen. Yes?
Can I add to this question? If you're a neophyte devotee and you have this material needs and actually you don't pray much to Krishna for pure bhakti, and if you just pray, Krishna, please help me, to solve some of my material problems, and then because you can't do it by yourself, and when you see help is coming,
yes,
and then you understand it's Krishna help me,
yes,
and then you can get some connection or feeling, wow, Krishna helps me. You can appreciate that,
yes,
develop some feelings, and it will increase your bhakti, I think, or not.
Oh yeah, well, Prabhupada said that very thing. He said, Krishna will fulfill your desire. When he fulfills it, then the devotee will think, Krishna's so merciful, let me reciprocate. That's a natural feeling. Krishna's already giving us so much anyway. So naturally we feel, let me reciprocate. And I learned a lesson also. Like the story about my wife and the furniture and the nice house and all that. And one devotee, he said, sometimes Krishna takes things away, and sometimes he gives them. So if he takes them away, all right. And if he gives them, okay, if he wants you to have them, just take them, When I joined, I had one guitar. Now I have 3. Want to give me 3? Okay. 3 guitars and so many things. When I joined, I had 1 sweater like this. Now I have at least 4. Krishna wants to give me 4, okay, that's what he wants, And I heard once by ISKCON Prabhu said that, when you give your life to Krishna, he'll just want to give you things to maintain you, to make, so it's like sometimes I get like too much. So people are giving, but I'm thinking Krishna's giving. It's like, and Krishna's like, no, take it, I want you to have it. Okay. All right. Hare Krishna. And that's like Krishna saying thank you. And then we take it gracefully. Thank you, Krishna. I'll use it for you. I'm grateful. So whatever you have, it's coming from Krishna. Right? That's how you see it. I was saying yesterday, this whole movement is based on chanting the Mahamantra, and look what's going on in this movement. It's like so much. Just from the Mahamantra, so many things. So many devotees are doing amazing service, and somehow we're all living, so many of us gave up our careers, dropped out of university to serve Prabhupada. We're all still living somehow or other. It's not like what you would generally do on a career path, right? It's just drop out, become a monk. Somehow we're here. So we all see that as Krishna, maintaining us for all the service we've done. So we're grateful, and we want to serve. Thank you, Krishna. I did service, you're maintaining, you are my maintainer. Thank you. And all the money you make, you spend on your family, and you spend for spreading Krishna consciousness. That's what Krishna wants you to do. Not just accumulate for sense gratification. That'll be bad for you. If you make money and you can spend it in service to Krishna, that money will make you happy. If you just keep it, it's not going to make you happy. It'll put you in anxiety. Have you ever had that experience? Well, maybe you haven't had enough money to be in anxiety yet. But when you get a certain amount of money, it's like more than you need. It's just anxiety. Like, what am I going to do with it? I don't need it. And you can think of I could buy an airplane. I could, buy a mansion in, Spain. And all these things just agitate the mind. You want a mansion in Spain. All right, just one.
I just want to go to Spain.
Yeah, okay. Is that all right? Or, yeah, okay. So, yes, last question or what? 2 last questions. You guys you're going to fight over who goes first? What? She has a question.
Sorry, I didn't see.
Just see, what a good example. Apologizing to his wife.
Yeah, because we're in public, so.
Looking good. Got to look good in public. Yeah, that's important. Whenever, I have a theory here. Every morning, this is the best marriage advice you'll ever get from anybody. Every morning, when you see your husband and wife, say, please accept my humble obeisances, and please forgive me for any offenses I may have committed. And if you say that enough, you'll probably stop committing offenses. Because you're going to want to stop saying, forgive me for my offenses. It's like, why don't you just stop them? Anyway, you can try that. It's just like, beginning of the day, my obeisances. That's what Prabhupada gave us. Yes?
Another question is, referring to the beginning of the lecture when I spoke about Grihastha Ashram and the time it takes, etc. After speaking with devotees, I noticed that many devotees feel guilt when they're in Grihastha Ashram.
Yeah.
And they're so busy and they have so little time. And they start seeing family as Maya, which is not service to Krishna.
Yes.
But actually it is if your family is, you have kids, they're like deities. And you're doing service to Krishna, but devotees kind of fall into this, if I'm not going to the temple, if I'm not doing any official service.
Yes.
That's where the guilt is coming.
Definitely. And you will be doing less direct service, and your service will change, as you said, and that's your service. What I see the problem is, just analyzing, I see that, especially amongst brahmacharis, they get married, but their head's still in the brahmachari ashram. And that's where that guilt comes, because, Now they're going to the office and they're walking down the street where they used to distribute books. But now they're going to the office. It's like, ugh, what am I doing here? I used to be there distributing books. It's my analysis is it's a lack of acceptance of they never accepted the Grihastha Ashram. They never really landed in it that this is what the Grihastha Ashram is. Because once you accept what it is, then there's no duality that I was doing this before. It's like it's stupid. Like I have a job, but I used to be in school. It doesn't make sense. How can I? So it's like, and I only went to school 3 hours a day, and this job is 8 hours a day. Well, that's just what it is. So once you accept, this is, like if you take sannyas, then things change. You can't just do what you used to do, right? So you get married, you can't do what every ashram has its own nature. If you're a vanapras, it's a little different than grihast. If you're a sannyasi, it's different than vanapras, it's different than brahmachari. It's like, and we see some sannyasis have not fully adopted the mood and the nature of that ashram, and it's problematic. So it's the same thing. It's just accepting this is the nature of this ashram, and all that so-called time being taken away. That's just what it is. It's like, you think like Prabhupada didn't know? He was a Grihastha. He knew. I mean, look at, what did Prabhupada do? Did he do it all? Was he traveling all around India with his business to support his family? Yeah, but every morning he was doing puja. And he was publishing back to Godhead, so, He showed both examples. I have the order of my guru, he wants me to do this. So whatever that little 20 minutes of time a day, I'll work on this. Whatever that is. And that's just the nature of it. But when you're 65 or something, and you're be like, I've been waiting for 30 years to be fully engaged. You're just like, it's going to be amazing. You'll be so engaged. You'll be, get to do all those things you didn't want to do. And but like we said, you need to go through all of that. It's, I think it's so important when you're doing this, wasting time. But I need to do this. This will purify me. There was a lady, and she was living far from the temple. And she wrote her spiritual master, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and she said, I want to live near the temple. And he said, no. He knew this lady. He said, better you live far from the temple. Because if you live near the temple, you won't be thinking about the temple. And a lot of people live near, they don't go. He said, if you live far, you'll be thinking about the temple all the time, and then you'll go. So it's kind of like that, But when you're in that, this is a waste of time, this and that, the first thought is, I need this. This is the ashram, and I need it. And this is just what it means. This is what it means to be Grihastha, but I need to do this. So where's the question of, I don't like it, guilt and all that. I need to do it. So why should there be any guilt? That's what I need to do.
And all the household duties with this service, right?
Yeah, of course. And the householders are creating children and supporting the temple and
People trying to mix the ashram in one. But my charities trying to be a Grihastha.
Brahmacharis trying to be Grihasthas and treating their wives like brahmachari companions. And they get upset. Right? And also, but it's the reverse. Women who want men who are like women are just, that must feel so bad. You get that from women, but most men are not like, they're not. Some are, but so it's like some women want men to be more like women, and some men want women to be more like men, and it's just men are men and women are women. But a lot of men, it takes them years to come out of the brahmachari ashram, even after they're married, to change that mentality. Based on what she said, because you feel guilty. Or you have unrealistic vision of you want to be a brahmachari and a grihastha. You want to, what's the saying? Do something and you do two opposite things at the same time. Like you want to be a brahmachari and get all the benefits of grihastha life or something. It doesn't work. There needs to be a book on transitioning from brahmachari to grihastha. Like what you're going to go through and the wrong ways of thinking. That would solve problems. Anyone want to write it?
Actually, there is, I heard in the festival, kaip yra mokytos Mirnandos ir tavo? That Chaitanya Charan Prabhu is developing an obligatory program which you must finish before even getting married or entering Grihastha Ashram, so that you get this training you're talking about.
Perfect.
And you don't mess it up in the way we usually do.
That's exactly what we need. Yeah.
You have to translate it to English.
Totally, yeah. That's one less book I have to write. I'm always like...
I don't know Russian, that's why I chose you.
I mean, yeah. It has to be written by somebody.
Yeah.
But it's so crazy that we don't have it till this day because...
Yeah, well, the brahmacharis, this should be taught in the brahmachari ashram. But no one would allow that. Because they don't want to put the seed in that you might get married.
Yeah.
Maybe the book, when they put on white, then they're given the book or something.
Because how they cannot feel like brahmachari in Grihastha Ashram when they've been trained for 15 years to be brahmachari and then straight to Grihastha.
I think the biggest damage that anyone could do to a man is to demean women, because then you marry a woman and then when you see her frailties, all that stuff you heard comes in your mind. Well, you're just a woman, you're just this and that and that. And you know, in the material world, maybe you get it a little bit, but we get it more. We have it more. Right? Like my level of respect for women went way down after, hearing 100 sannyasis demean women. And I didn't come to ISKCON like that. And I can see, like my sister is super intelligent, my wife's super intelligent, her mother's super intelligent. It's like right in front of us, we see it, but then it's like we're put down. And that can be a huge problem for those men in the beginning years of Grihastha life. They just, the woman's always like, well, your opinion is not valuable. It's not, it's supposed to be us working together. And of course that doesn't work. And the men have to learn the hard way that it doesn't work. And they have to see their wife, their wife makes up for so much of what they don't have in their life. Yes?
I want to ask, because you said your mind has been affected by hearing all of this, but then when you entered Grihastha Ashram, what tools did you use to
What tools did I use? Messing things up so much that I realized I was making mistakes. Pretty much. I think for most men that I talk to, they're like, yeah, it took me like 20 years to realize I should stop arguing with my wife and just listen. And like so many of my godbrothers, 20 years, how many more years? 18 or whatever, 17, 16 more years, he'll start listening. Yeah, a lot of it was just growing, maturing, because we didn't have anybody telling us that, this is what you need to do. So make the mistakes, become miserable, make your wife miserable, and then understand, maybe I've been influenced in my earlier years in the wrong way.
Or they can be influenced by you in the right way.
and save
That would maybe
Save time.
And save money.
save energy, because otherwise you put it. Why do you want to spend energy on fighting? What's the point? And I think one of the realizations that I had was that everybody has a nature, and so you can't fight the nature. So your wife may do something, your husband may do something. Like, why do you have to do that? Most often that's just who they are. That's what they do. And so once you accept that, you marry a person, you get all what you like and you get what you don't like also. It's a package. It's not all going to be what you like. you see what you like before you're married, and you see what you don't like after you're married, right? And so once you accept, that's just normal. That's a reality. And people who have very good relationships disagree on most things. That's just statistics. You don't need to agree on everything to have a good relationship, but they know how to have a good relationship even though they disagree. So, just by experience you learn it, hopefully. Although some people don't, but most men do. Better learn it now. Now you've learned it today, so save time.
Is it after 20 years, with your open heart, you could say like, I either choose to be happy than right?
Yeah.
Is it real? Like, is it possible? Some men actually do it without artificially? Because I could say, but in the heart I would explode at some time.
Well, here's the thing. If you love another person and you see that your behavior is causing them distress, you're going to stop doing what you're doing. Whether your heart changed or not, you don't want to cause this person suffering, And like, you just learn. Your wife says something or does something, it invokes an emotional reaction in you, and you want to say something, but you don't because you know it's going to hurt her, so you just don't say it. And after practicing that for a while, you just will stop feeling that way because you'll realize that's just not good. It isn't. And I just have now learned to acknowledge that she feels this way, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but we don't have to agree with how people feel. We just have to acknowledge it. And if I don't acknowledge it, it's going to hurt her. And I don't want to hurt her, so I just go with it.
I think it's the hardest thing to say sorry when you clearly know that it's not your fault.
Well, it is your fault for not realizing that was going to upset her, even though in your mind you didn't do anything wrong. You can upset a woman not because of what you did, but because what you didn't do, what you didn't say.
Well, so many options to upset.
Yeah, but you're supposed to learn these things and make notes. Okay, I blew it. It was like our anniversary. And, I finally, gave her something at 11 o'clock at night. Now, I probably shouldn't do that because she was not happy. Well, at least I remembered. So you learn, the whole thing is that we're selfish, right? And so Grihastha life is so good because you can't be selfish. And to be Krishna conscious, you have to stop being selfish. So now you have this person, you have to serve them, satisfy them in ways that you don't even think are good. But it's just, that's what they need. Like a man's watching his wife buy earrings, and she's got so many she can't even find them all, and she's buying another pair. That doesn't fit in a man's mind.
For me, it's fine.
But you know what I'm saying? There'll be some things that we don't have money to pay the bills, and you're looking at earrings, and these are expensive. Or you'll look at the new car, she'll look at the new. So if you look at, I look at my wife and go, you're spending too much money. She could go in my office and go, why do you have this and that? You don't really need it. And I'll be like, yeah, I just like it. It's nice to have, but it's true, I don't really need it. So I'm just doing it in a different way. Less often bigger purchases. Her more often smaller purchases. So when you can see these things, then it's like, okay, we're different, but I don't want to cause her distress. So if something causes her distress, even though I think, honey, that it shouldn't upset you. I think that's like saying, your wife says, I'm hungry, and you say, well, you shouldn't be. Because we just ate like 2 hours ago. But I am. Well, you shouldn't be. Are you going to get me something to eat? No, why should I? Because you shouldn't be. It's exactly like that. It's just, this does not make sense to me. I ate the same thing you ate. I'm not hungry. How could you be hungry? Well, I am. Well, too bad. We don't eat now. It's exactly what you're doing. I feel this way. Why would you feel this way? Because I do. But you shouldn't. but I do. So after 20 years of, making her miserable, you're like, maybe I shouldn't do that. Maybe I should just say, okay, let's get something to eat. Pretty simple. It saves you a lot of trouble if you do that. And you might say, that's so hard. It's harder to upset her because then you have to spend 3 hours making up.
Yeah.
And all it took 1 second to say, okay, let's get something to eat. Hello. Take that cement out of your brain so all this can get in there and your life will be better. Right?
Yeah, but the ego wants to be right.
Yeah, so you can be right or you can be married. You decide.
But I mean, it's also natural to feel this way when we're young,
The male ego. But here's the point. My joke is, how to become humble. Get married, you'll become humble. Because your wife will make you humble. But it's good. I mean, think about it. The male ego is huge, and we have to serve our wife, so we're reducing the male ego. We have to, she's going to say, Ishwar Madhava, why did you say that in class? That was so embarrassing. And you're like, don't tell me. And you think, okay, let me just listen. This is humility. I need to do this. And, if I'm single, I don't get it. This is good. I'm getting feedback. No one's going to give it to me. She'll give it to me. It'll humble me. I'll have to do things she wants when I don't feel like it. That's good. I'm learning to become less selfish. I'm learning to consider that maybe I'm not always right. Just possibly there's a chance that maybe I'm not always right 100% of the time. Maybe, yeah. So that's all good. Isn't it? And so when you accept it's good, then it's like, okay, my wife tells me all the time, I just would be better if you said this or didn't say that or do this. And I'm just saying this because I want to help you. So it's like, okay. And she always says, don't take offense. This is to help you. And I say, okay, tell me. That's good. One time I was with some devotees, I think in Poland or something, and we were supposed to go somewhere, and they were all like getting ready, and I was sitting, waiting, just patiently, just chanting my rounds. And they're feeling like, oh, we're really sorry. I'm like, I'm a Grihastha. This is like normal. It doesn't bother me. If I wasn't married, they're like, what's up with these people? My disciples are making me wait here, I'm saying, no, I'm Guru Maharaj, But as a Grihastha, it's like, that's just normal, You're, the husband, the man's usually, he's like on the bottom of the totem pole in Grihastha life, The women and kids get first dibs on all the good stuff. If there's anything left, you get it. That's just how it is. And so, but that's good, it humbles us, And you're a sannyasi, everybody, Maharaj, you're the best thing that ever happened, you're great. That's not easy to be humble. Your wife's not going to tell you that all the time.
Yeah.
She's going to say, you're great in this way, but not so great in this way. And if you take it properly, you'll see, this is good. I need it. And it'll be easier to take. And she'll be happy. And, the goal is to have no false ego. So, and that's the goal of Krishna consciousness.
But I think the biggest problem in what you said is that our Krishna consciousness in Grihastha Ashram, because we have so many things to do, always goes up and down, and then at some point this value of humility, it's not value anymore, because your Krishna consciousness is going up and down. So I think it all
your humility doesn't have to be based on how your Krishna consciousness is doing on a daily basis. It's more of a realization.
A realization that is actually good, yeah?
It's a realization that I don't need to be right, I don't need to control. I make mistakes, I can hear. That, people who aren't devotees do that. So, they're not chanting rounds, and they can do it better than a lot of devotees. It's their nature, their realization, they work on it. So, want to take prasadam? Is that the plan?
Can I make one short, just to confirm?
One question, short.
One time I was speaking with senior devotee, and I was telling him I have the work, I am going to job now and everything, I'm doing a service there, to serve people, to learn how to serve, and he told me, don't serve the people, serve the Krishna. Like.
Yeah.
But what's the point? Like, can I like learn how to serve like by serving for the
Of course,
my
of course.
colleagues
Of course. You can also make offenses to people. Jana aparad. There's Vaishnava aparad and there's jana. Jana means people. And you are employed by a company, so your duty, your dharma is to serve that company.
Because that's the last word. Like I'm not gonna glorify myself, but like to my spiritual master, like I'm just doing service to others. It's like natural to me, like to help others. And when I left my work, like everybody just like gathered and like
That's good.
telling, like I worked there for like 9 months, and they told like it's like a child you give birth and he's living.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's good. Anything you do creates a propensity to do it. So if I do it to people in general, then when I come in Sangha, I'll do it also.
So if like the colleagues are happy that I do like right things, Krishna is also happy in that way.
Yeah, well, at least you're doing your duty in that sense. And you're in a mood of service. That's good.
Okay.
There's higher and lower aspects of service. Okay, everyone. Have a happy marriage and happy renunciation later in life. And we'll see you back to Godhead pretty soon. Hare Krishna.